Throughout the 1950s, Vincent Price had established himself as not only one of Hollywood's hottest actors and TV stars, but also a world-renowned art expert. His first film of the 1960s was his first in what would become a successful string of collaborations with director Roger Corman, House of Usher. The film opens with a man on horseback riding through a bleak, burnt-out countryside. This is Philip Winthrop, played by Mark Damon, en route to visit his fiancée Madeline Usher, played by Myrna Fahey, at her family estate. He approaches the gloomy mansion and knocks on the door. A servant named Bristol, played by Harry Ellerby, answers the door and informs Philip that Madeline is too sick to receive visitors. Philip demands to see her brother Roderick, played by Vincent Price, and Bristol reluctantly lets him in. Roderick is none too happy with Philip's presence and demands that he leave immediately and forget about Madeline. We learn that Roderick is suffering from a rare ailment that causes extreme sensitivity to sound. Even the slightest noise causes extreme pain. Roderick believes the Usher family is cursed and fears that a marriage would continue the bloodline, thus ensuring the curse lives on. While they are talking, Madeline enters and is thrilled to see Philip. She insists he stay for the night, and Bristol prepares a room for him. It turns out the house has fallen into a severe state of disrepair, and in fact has a giant crack running up it that stretches from foundation to roof. The house is unstable and prone to violent tremors. During one of these episodes, a chandelier falls from the ceiling, narrowly missing Philip. Roderick is extremely protective of his sister, who he claims is deathly ill. Philip has his doubts and believes that once she's away from Roderick and the gloomy Usher estate, she will recover. Philip sneaks into her room that evening and urges her to leave with him. Roderick angrily interrupts them, telling Philip if he loves Madeline, he will leave her alone. The following morning, Philip takes Madeline breakfast in her room. He again pleads with her to leave with him, but she refuses, telling him that she's dying. She takes him to the family crypt where her ancestors lie, explaining that all of them suffered from madness. While they are talking, one of the coffins falls to the floor and shatters, the rotten corpse inside spilling out. Roderick enters the crypt just as Madeline faints and carries her back to her room. Roderick tells Philip of the Usher family history. The house was moved over from England brick by brick, and along with it came the family curse. The Ushers are a line of murderers, thieves, and liars. Their evil caused a blight on the area. The family is cursed, and the house is haunted. Now realizing that Roderick is full-blown mad, Philip again rushes back up to Madeline's room and pleads with her to leave with him. This time, she agrees. Philip goes to his room to pack his things and overhears Madeline and Roderick arguing in her room. She screams, and Philip races back in time to find her lying on her bed, dead. Roderick swears he didn't touch her, explaining that the strain and stress were just too much for her heart to withstand. They hold a brief ceremony and place her body in a casket, which Roderick insists that they take to the family vault immediately. The following morning, Philip bids Bristol goodbye, and Bristol offhandedly mentions that the Usher family has suffered from a long line of ailments, including catalepsy. Realizing that Madeline may still be alive, Philip rushes down to the vault and finds her coffin empty. He storms back to Roderick's room and demands to know where she is.
You buried her alive.
Roderick refuses to tell him, and Philip searches frantically for Madeline, unable to find her. Finally, exhausted, he collapses on his bed and has a horrific nightmare, wherein he is haunted by the Usher family ancestors. Philip wakes to a scream and follows it back down to the crypt. He discovers a trail of blood leading from an open coffin to hidden passages and stairwells throughout the house. He follows the trail, but when he eventually finds Madeline, she has gone mad and attacks him. Madeline. The end of House of Usher is fantastic, culminating in a fiery climax that claims the lives of Roderick, Madeline, and Bristol. Only Philip escapes unharmed, watching from a distance as the house collapses in a fiery ruin. House of Usher was scripted by Richard Matheson and based on the Edgar Allan Poe short story, The Fall of the House of Usher. This was an important film for both Roger Corman and AIP Pictures, as it was the first bigger budget picture that the studio had produced. Landing Vincent Price was a major coup, and the film was a huge success, both financially and critically. Corman would go on to make 7 more films based on Poe stories throughout the 1960s, 6 of them starring Vincent Price. The scene at the beginning of the film where Philip is riding through a desolate, burnt-out landscape is notable in that it was filmed in a real burnt-out forest. There had been a forest fire in California just prior to shooting, and Corman had cleverly arranged to film on location to take advantage of the landscape. For the fire scene during the finale, Corman filmed a real barn burning at night. He would reuse the footage in subsequent films. House of Usher is a film ripe with atmosphere, and Price gives a terrific performance, staying deadpan serious throughout, never dipping into camp. His look in this film is one of the more unique in his career, with snow-white hair and a clean-shaven face. The small cast would work in this film's favor, giving it a claustrophobic feel, as it takes place entirely in the Usher mansion. This is a must-see for Price fans. Next up, Price will be reunited with actor Charles Bronson in the high-flying adventure film Master of the World.
But I had to do it. Can't you understand that?
When you list your home with the Century 21 office, we look into every nook and cranny. Because to find the right buyer quickly, we've got to know what makes your home special.
Well, I'll pick you up in 10 minutes, and believe me, you're going to love it.
Last year, we put 1.5 million buyers and sellers together, one home at a time.
It's perfect. I do hope he comes with the house.
Century 21, the largest real estate organization in the world.